Come on. Good morning. It's October 1st. We're on our walk. Or we're about to go on our walk. I'm waiting for him to poop because I hate when he poops on our walk and then I have to carry it with me. I have an appointment at Discount Tire in 15 minutes. And it takes 16 minutes to get there. So we're on the roll. Taking my meds, making a protein shake, and I'm going. Worst part of my day's over. There you go. Oh, I want a yogurt bowl, bro. I need to grab my laptop. Fall in love again and again. You know that song? Fall in love again and again. So, I hope you can't hear the birds because I play birds for Dudley whenever I'm not home. Because he's very anxious and I'm hoping it's helping his anxiety, but really there's no way for me to actually know. But anyways, I went to sit at a coffee shop with my friend and did like some deep work for, I think like 3 hours, honestly, 3.5. Went hard. Got a lot done, but that just means there's more to do. So real quick, I'm eating some lunch and then I'm gonna go downstairs, take Dudley outside and do some editing. Because I haven't done that lately. And then tonight I have therapy at 4:30 and then Hunter and I are gonna go to the gym. I like being able to work outside because get my sunlight. Because that is very important to me, is my sunlight. So, let's go. Good morning. Happy Thursday. It really is exciting how things can look different when you just want them to be. Like when you're, like I decided like, okay, I'm gonna have, I don't know, I sound dumb, whatever. Walk to coffee with Dudley. There's me. It's too, is this too bright? I wish it like autoed this. Is that okay? Let me know if that's okay. Why is this not? This thing's crooked, right? Okay. Anyways, went on my walk, got some coffee. I'm in a great mood for today, so feeling good, feeling like it's gonna be a good day. Very busy day for the most part. I coach 2 classes and then I have 3 calls, so it's not too bad, but the days that I coach, I just feel like it takes so much out of me now, which is really sad. I'm gonna go lift. I'm going to lift, I guess. I don't have anything planned. I'm supposed to run today, but my ankle is still effed up and I don't want to make it worse. Like, I'm kind of like, oh, I think I could, but I'm going to do it and then it's going to mess it up even more and I have a long run on Saturday, and so I'm kind of like, so I might just do the long run. You know, we might just wait and make sure that I don't screw things up for myself even more. Hey, we're back. Sitting out by the pool on tides. He's just the sweetest. Look at him. I know all he's doing is laying down. I understand that. And no one else is gonna think it's that cute except for me because I am his mother. But unfortunately, I do think it's that cute. I should have brought my tripod out here, but I get shy when I use my tripod. I do. I really do get shy when I use my tripod. Oh. I have like 30 minutes before I need to start getting ready for work. So I'm gonna plan my day. I already planned it yesterday, but just kind of, what do I need to do right now? Right now, what else do I need to do? I need to, obviously all my admin work, but, oh, also the wedding dress that I fell in love with, I didn't look at the price tag on it, and I also just like picked up dresses and tried them on, and I was so scared that it was over our budget, and so I reverse Google image searched it because I couldn't find it on the website, and I found it, and it says the average price at a retail store is under what our budget is, so I'm like, thank God, because watch me like fall in love with a dress that's like 3 times the budget, but it's not. I am going to be making changes to it because the dress that I want doesn't exist, but this is a really close second and I can make it the dress that I want. Okay, I'm uploading the video where I talk about Ella in a little bit more length for the first time. It it's like a 20-minute part of the video, but it still like isn't, that's like a synopsis of it. Like it's nowhere near everything, which is kind of like, I don't know, it feels weird because I'm like, oh, it's a long story. Like I'm thinking about it, and I think it's gonna be a series of everything. I think I just want to tell my story, and I always thought I would write a book, and I think I probably still will, maybe, who knows. But I like to talk, and I think I want to get the story out as soon as possible. Like I want to help as many people as possible, so that means putting it out as soon as possible. And writing a book is going to be a much lengthier process than recording and filming and editing a video. Like it could be, like I could make it take a long time, but like I think I want to do like one a week or something like that, and that way I can like split it up and really like dive into certain areas where like I usually like, there's a lot of parts of the story that are really important but I skip over because they're little things that are big. They're big to me, but when I'm like telling someone the story in passing or like trying not to make it take the whole time, like I don't bring that part up. Like I don't think I've ever sat down and told everything to anyone, not because I'm holding it back, but because like it would take so long and I need to sit and like process what I'm saying also. And so I think this is going to be good for me, even if like it does nothing. I'm excited to have that and to be able to look back on it as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I need to quit my job. I need to quit Orange Theory. Financially, I can't. See, but the thing is, I think I'm making more I am making more from my business than I am at Orange Theory. But that money from Orange Theory pays for a lot of things. Like it pays, like, and the big issue, not issue is the wrong word, but the big thing with that is we have a wedding to save up for. I think I talked about this maybe. We're saving up for our wedding, obviously, and my parents are helping, but like I'm extravagant. And for the first time, I was telling this to my therapist yesterday, I was like, I, for so long, have tried to be like the cool, chill girl that like doesn't care about things, and that's just not who I am. It's just not who I am, and I've tried to be that for so long. I've like tried to be that person for so long, and like no wonder I don't like myself. Like, and it's gotten better obviously because I've like started to let myself be me more. But okay, is this working? Where is it? File, save, move. Okay. Because I've started to become more myself without like worrying about what other people think. and there's still those parts of me, obviously, like it's humanity, but I'm trying to kill that part of me. And for so long I wanted to be the chill girl. I've tried so hard to come off as a chill girl. It's never worked because it's not real, but that didn't stop me from continuously trying to make that happen. So for my wedding, you know, like I'm just like, I'm not doing that. And like, unfortunately, actually fortunately, I'm extravagant and I love big things, and I am so excited for this wedding and to feel like a princess, and I'm just not a chill bride. It's not that I'm gonna be like a raging bitch, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I care about the wedding and I care about how I feel, and that's just the truth of it. Is like, and so, you know, I want a big dress and I want a big wedding and I want all these things, and obviously there's going to be some things we sacrifice for other things, but like one of my big things is I want mariachis at the cocktail hour, and that's something that is so important to me that like we're going to have it, unfortunately, for anyone who's upset about it. But I need to be less apologetic about it. But yeah, I am just really working on, like, I'm very performative, and I don't necessarily want to be, obviously, like, but I have been my whole life. I was talking about this yesterday. Whenever I'm like with my friends, or like, I just feel the need to like perform for people, in like both in a literal sense and like a not a literal sense, but like I feel the need to entertain. I feel the need to entertain when I'm around people, and it's interesting, but I don't know. I was talking about, I don't know. It's fine. I'm really hungry. I need to eat before I go. I'm gonna start the upload, and then home. What's for lunch? Chicken and rice. And then I'll probably have some yogurt and blueberries. Oh, maybe some rice cakes, actually.
Side, the hangings of the door were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. The pillars were 20, and their base 100 cubits. Their pillars, a craftsman and designer and embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet stuff, was 29 talents and 730.
Good morning. October 3rd. Oh, I should wear pink. Today I don't have any calls scheduled, and I don't have any class. I don't coach. So, it's a work day. Hunter and I went to Bible study last night, and that was really great. I am really starting to open up to the people there and like trying to make friends. I've been trying, I think I'm like finding friends, which is exciting. But yesterday we went over Romans 5, 1 through 21, and one of the verses that really spoke to me, which is something that like I've been wanting to talk about, is affliction produces endurance, endurance produces proven character, and proven character produces hope. And then Romans 5:20 says, but where sin multiplied, grace multiplied even more, resulting in eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Which, the reason that spoke to me was because these are things I've kind of, like, endurance is a big word in my life, in training and in my experiences, and especially like right now where like just a lot, and I actually like I have a whole thing where I wanted to make a video talking about just endurance, and so this was kind of cool last night. But besides that, Dudley and I are gonna go for a walk. And I do have some things, obviously I have a lot to do for work, so I think I'm gonna bring my laptop with me, bring my chargers, everything, so we can go sit at Starbucks and do that. And then I need to mail some shirts, so maybe I'll bring that with me. We'll do that right now. Yeah, we'll do that right now. We'll pack this. Happy Friday!
And we were.
Yeah. Alright, finished at the gym. Got some groceries really quick. I don't really have anything planned for the rest of the day. I need to go, I'm gonna go on a walk at some point. Then Hunter and I have date night. I don't know what that means at the moment. We might be going somewhere. We might be, I don't know. There's a few different options. Right now I really want to take a nap. I might let but like the thing is I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep anyways. Like this, I know that. I had some pineapple just now. I need to try that. But maybe I'll sit down and talk for a little bit. First thing I'm wanting to talk about, I made a list from the beginning to the end, and endurance is kind of the theme of my life. It's been a theme of my life for a while, like an underlying thought in my head for a very, very, very long time. The definition of endurance, let's look at like the legal way that I see it, is the ability to do the same thing. It is the act of doing the same thing over and over and over and over again for a ridiculously long amount of time. The ability to take that on, do the mundane, not even the mundane, but to endure something for a prolonged period of time. Now let's look up what Google says. The fact or power of enduring an unpleasant or difficult process or situation without giving way. Endure. Endure means to suffer patiently. Remain in existence, last. Suffer patiently. Definition of suffer, or another word for it, is to tolerate. Experience or be subjected to tolerate. Tolerate something for a long time. That's the definition of endurance. Rice. I'm adding some Parmesan in. Right now, my thought process with where my head's at right now with chicken rice, like I get scared because I'm like, oh, people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, like if I want to get fit or if I want to do these things, I have to eat chicken and rice. No, not the case at all. I didn't eat chicken and rice probably until 2 years into my fitness journey. 2 years into losing weight, 2 years into all this shebang. Why am I doing it now? It's easy. I'm in a stage where like a lot of things are going crazy throughout the day, and I don't have the mental energy to think of like super complicated meals to meal prep. I don't have the time. I want to spend my time doing other things that aren't cooking every single morning or every single day. Meal prepping for hours on end on the weekends. Chicken and rice is easy. It's simple. I can mess with it. I can put sauces on it. I can do all this stuff. And that way I have the freedom to eat whatever else throughout the week. Like, I'm not super stressed about going out to eat and like all these other things because I know that my food during the day is pretty consistent. It is consistent. And it's good. It's so good, actually. Like if you think about it, any Mexican restaurant you go to, any like Indian, like all of that, it's always like some kind of meat and rice. The issue there is that it's all cooked in really heavy oils that make the calories astronomical. And that is where we run into issues. That's why making it at home makes it literally 20% of the calories. Let's talk. So we'll just start from the beginning. My mom was born in Mexico in 1971. My dad was born in Chicago in 1952. they met in Mexico. My dad was working for the railroad there. My mom, I believe my mom was a secretary. They got married after knowing each other for 6. Ow. They got married after knowing each other for 6 months. And just a couple years later, and they got married, I think, in 2000. And just about a year later, I was born in Panama. My dad grew up there for a big portion of his life. I was born in Panama City on July 25th, 2001. We lived there until I was 9, I believe. My sister was born on February 12th, 2005. Best day of my life. At the time, for sure. The first thing I asked if she could have palletas, and I asked if she had ears. Because I still have this thing, like I like self-soothe by like grabbing onto my ears specifically now, but when I was little, like my parents. So I had to make sure that she had those ready to go for me. Yeah, my childhood there was pretty happy. I do remember my parents fighting a lot when I was younger, and we'd go to Mexico a lot. My dad worked a lot. When I was 8, I went to an American school called Balboa Academy, and so in every other aspect of my life was like speaking Spanish, but at school I was speaking English with my dad. So I'd speak Spanish with my mom, English with my dad. We moved to the US when I was 8. We moved to San Antonio, where my aunt lived. My Aunt Patrice, she'll come back later in the story, but we moved there. My dad, obviously that was like big culture shock, things were so different. My dad, from there, he couldn't find a job in San Antonio, and his old boss actually was living in New York working for the New York Atlantic Railway. I believe he was, at the time, he was the president of the company. I had my dad come up there, so now my dad was living in New York City while me, my mom, and my sister were in San Antonio. He would come down every 2 weeks. After about a year of that, we move up to New York with my dad. This is around the time that, like, in my childhood, a lot of my relationship with my mom very early on was not the best. And I don't want to go too into detail because, like, obviously, like, I respect her still, and I don't want to go super crazy, but she had a lot of, I guess, issues. I don't want to say issues, but she had a lot going on, and at the time, I believe she didn't know how to be a mom, especially once we moved back to San Antonio. We were in New York for a year, and my mom and dad, I think at that point, were deciding to get a divorce. We moved back, and from a very early age, I knew my mom liked my sister more than me, and she kind of had it in her head that I was like out to get my sister, which I don't ever remember really feeling that way as a kid. I just remember being aware that my mom liked my sister more, and that kind of just grew and grew as we grew. We moved back. Things with my mom got tough, especially going into middle school. We find out that my parents were getting a divorce, and that was really hard. And that was a whole thing. We then find out, it was a mess, of course. My mom is living in a country she's never lived in before. She's not a citizen, she's a resident, she's legal, but she's not a citizen. So she's under a lot of stress. She's trying to raise 2 girls by herself in a country she's never been in. And so now I try to give her a lot more grace than I could at the time, knowing these things and being able to like empathize with the situation. But at the time, it got really hard. I knew that like I'd come home and I knew that my mom didn't want me there, and I knew that we would fight like crazy, and it was very much like there was no learning opportunities. It was like the second I did something wrong, I was evil, and I was out to get her, and I was all these things that she never believed a word I said. It was hard. It was really hard, and things truly, as I got older, they just got harder with her, and just put us through a lot of negative experiences. And I really try not to hold her to that now, because she has grown a lot and she's taking care of herself. But like, that doesn't take away from the fact that like it did affect me a lot, and it still does to this day. And it's a lot heavier, I think, than I can even give it words, because out of respect for her, like, I don't want to like make it, we have a good relationship, and I don't want to jeopardize that. Middle school and high school were hard. I wasn't necessarily being taken care of. This is like so personal, and I'm like should not share this maybe, but I'm going to. Is I got lice when I was 12 years old for the first time, and this kind of goes into like I wasn't being taken care of. I had it until my senior year of high school, which is like, at the time I was being told that it was my fault because I was gross and I was all these things, and now I understand that like that's not the case, but I was so embarrassed. Of course I was, and finally got rid of it whenever I was able to drive myself to like some doctor or something. And so there's that, and I wasn't being raised necessarily, and so I didn't know a lot of things. Like I didn't know I was supposed to shower every day. I didn't, a lot of things like still I question, I'm like, is that my fault? Like, but I know that as a 12-year-old girl, like, no, it's not. I made a lot of friends, thankfully, like, and I met my lifelong friends when I was in middle school, who are now in my bridal party, and the boys are actually in Hunters, which is like the coolest thing ever. I met them at church and started going to church in middle school. And because of my friends, I stuck with it, and I really like, I've had that relationship with God from around that age. That was really when, you know, like I was told about God and I was told about Jesus, and I like understood the story. And then once I got to middle school and I was like choosing to go to church with my friends, we didn't ever go to church as a family. I was choosing to go with my friends, and I just developed, I needed something just to lean on, and I needed to know that there was more, because things were so hard at home that like, that was my saving grace, genuinely. Like, I remember I was like 11, 12 years old, and I knew that things at home weren't right. And I would, whenever we'd go to church and have those things, I'd just cry and cry and cry, because I had it in me that my mom didn't love me. But Jesus did, and I would just ask him to save me. But I met so many of my friends, and I've had really great experiences because of that. And still my best friends, some of them to this day, and have met more people because of those people, and their parents have played huge roles in my life and raising me, and so many people that I wish I could like name every single one. And that's really like the biggest thing that I believe got me to this point, is the people in my life who decided to pour into me when they had every reason not to. Because I like can imagine what it's like to like your kid be friends with this girl who's a disaster. And there was people who like shut their kids off from me, like absolutely. And at the time I didn't understand it. And so I just think back to the people who poured into me so much as parents. Because I knew very early on that it was not right what was happening with my mom. And I knew that like this is not how a mom and daughter should be. High school was hard. I was taking Ubers to school, and I was eating Chips Ahoy for breakfast from the age of 8 till I was 17. Same stuff, like I'd come home and I hated life. I hated it, and I just tried to find every reason to get out of the house. I started looking for approval from boys very heavily, very, very, very heavily, and like in the physical aspect of things. I thought that was how to get boys to like me. And that really like defined a lot of my life, especially like later in high school. But really starting very beginning of high school as well. That's how I got the love I thought I wanted. In case you're wondering, doesn't work. Had never worked out. I had phases where I was like very, very, very overweight, and then I kind of lose weight and be a little healthier, but I was never like I was always like bigger than my friends. Which makes sense. I was eating Chips Ahoy for breakfast, so you can imagine what the rest of my diet looked like. But again, I try to give myself grace because I wasn't being taken care of. And my dad, bless his heart, is the greatest blessing. He is my best friend from 2,000 miles away. He has made every effort. We grew up every 4 to 5 months we'd go to New York, or he'd come here, and what a blessing it is to be able to say that like I grew up going to New York for holidays and for summers and like spend extended periods of time there. And so that's really, really great, and just very not an experience that a lot of kids and like growing kids get. And same thing with like being from a different country. Like I'm so grateful for that. And my mom's from Mexico, and so my grandparents lived there, and so we spent a lot of time in Mexico. And I'm just so grateful for like, I used to hate that I didn't grow up with like a super stable family from the same neighborhood as everyone, that everyone has known each other their whole life. Like that was my biggest like, oh, if only that, and that's what I was chasing. And now looking back, I'm so grateful because I think I just have a different perspective on things that I wouldn't, and like I'm aware of so much more world than I would have been. And like it's cool, genuinely, like it's just cool that like I am from a different country and I had to learn English, and I am here just because like a lot of people in my life have the life that I thought I wanted for so long, and being able to like celebrate those differences is so great. And halfway through high school, I transferred schools because obviously, like you can imagine, I was not in a great mental state, and like I was ruining my relationships with people, and I like randomly, literally, actually I was talking to this boy, and I still believe that like I didn't transfer to be with him, like that's not what I wanted to do, but it gave me the idea. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I was like, I want to go to Mac. So I transferred schools. Literally was in math class one day, decided, my grades were awful, in case you're wondering. Decided one day that I was like, I'm done here. I don't want to be here anymore. Texted my dad. He called my mom. Then literally the next day I went to pick up my stuff from Churchill. Moved to Mac that day. And it was like crazy because my middle school was split into those two high schools, and I might be wrong, but a lot of people just didn't like me, and that is completely my fault. And so I remember when I moved, it just felt very like, hi. And moving schools was the greatest decision I ever made. My senior year at Mac was beautiful. Was literally everything. When I think of high school, really, I just think of I was at Mac for 2 years, but my senior year is really just what I think of. Junior year was probably the hardest, the worst. Mentally, physically, like, awful. Worked at Chick-fil-A. Then just decided one day I didn't want to work there anymore, so I didn't show up to work. I think that was no. Oh, I did that for 2 different jobs. Right. That's insane. I'd Uber to work. I'd Uber to school. I started Ubering to school, I think, when I was 14. My dad got me a car my junior year, which was amazing and the biggest blessing in the world, because like that changed a lot. And like I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed of everything about my life, and I was so embarrassed about having to Uber everywhere. And I tried to like make sure people didn't know, but they 100% knew that that's how I was getting places. I wish you like it was like 2014 when I started Ubering, which is just so crazy because like now like Uber was very new at the time and scary. It was literally just like a 14. I was like, hi, going to school. I did try to commit suicide a couple times there. Don't really want to go into it. Not necessary, I think. I mean, I think from the situation you can understand why. I think it was once that it was serious. Once seriously, a couple times where I was like, I don't know. Senior year was great. I went into Young Life. I went to Young Life camp that summer going in. All of high school, I was trying to be friends with like people before this, and like for whatever reason, and I'm like, I take the blame for these things of like people didn't like me and I just couldn't find a friend group, and senior year at Mac really changed that, and I just found really great people that like I'm still so thankful for today. A lot of them I don't talk to anymore, which is, it hurts to think about sometimes, and like still again I think it's because of my actions at the time, so that's hard. But senior year was amazing and beautiful and so much fun, and halfway through my senior year I did things at home were obviously still really hard. Halfway through I moved out of my mom's house because things just got so bad. I luckily had my aunt who lived about 30 minutes away, my dad's sister, and she let me come. So literally just one Saturday morning I decided, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And my sister, like that was the thing that like killed me, was like I was leaving her, and her and my mom were really good until I left. And my sister, from the time that she was born, she's been my entire world, and I hate that our younger relationship got tainted, but I think it's made us stronger now because we're like, dude, like that was not us, like that was not our doing, and she's my best friend still. And but that hurt when I remember when she texted me, she was like, you left? And I was like, yeah. And I like went to bed crying that night, and I actually felt awful. But played tennis my senior year, was still super overweight, still all these things, whatever. Got on ADHD meds finally, which literally changed my life. Like, I can't even get started with that. The only reason I got to college was because I got a 1550 on my SAT, and I studied my ass off for that. I just got really, like, it's not because I was necessarily smart, I just got really good at the SAT. I took it so many times in order to be able to do that. And I graduated, and I went to Blinn my freshman year because I didn't have, my mom at the time still wasn't a US citizen, and my dad was retired, and in order to get a loan for school, you have to have a cosigner. A cosigner has to be a US citizen and be currently employed. I had one that was neither, so like I didn't have either one of those. So I went to the community college there for my freshman year so I could pay for it. And then the second year, like I built my credit and then was able to take out my student loans. From there, I met, still here, my like greatest friends that we all went to college together. A lot of us, and we met people that in my head, like it's that same group of people, and forever our friends, and my greatest blessings, or the greatest blessing I've ever had in my life is the people, truly. And a lot of times I'll talk about how on paper, if you were to have looked at my life, like I was not going to make it. I was in shock that I even went to community college. Shocked. Like I never even thought I never thought I'd make anything out of myself, anything. But in my head, I just was like, yeah, it's happening. Like I'm gonna try. It was literally like, well, I'm gonna try. And if they tell me no, then I'm not doing it. But like, that's just what happened. I just kept trying and trying. It was trial and error and doing the same fucking shit over and over and over again until something worked. And that to me is the definition of endurance, is to be okay with being in suffering for a long amount of time because you know it's gonna pay off. Freshman year, COVID happened. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware, I did try to kill myself again that summer, got diagnosed with bipolar depression. Here's a fun fact. Bipolar depression is not an anger issue. And for so long, I was embarrassed to tell people that I was diagnosed with that at the time, because then I would think that everyone would think I was very angry. And I don't think I've ever been an angry person. Bipolar depression is an issue where you are very, very, very manically happy and very, very, very heavily depressed at different times. And I had type 2, which was just really the depression side of things. So when I would get depressed, it would get bad. I am now undiagnosed with it, in case you're wondering. Am now diagnosed with PTSD, but that is a different topic. We'll get there. Fitness, my senior year of high school, I started working out, and that's really when I learned how to. But when I tell you that lasted 3 months, it lasted 3 months. But I did learn a lot during that time about lifting, and like, that's why I was like, that doesn't sound like a long enough amount of time to like know anything, but like, Mari Llewellyn, at the time, she's like the Blooms girl. At the time, she had lost a ton of weight. This was 2018. She had lost a ton of weight, and I found her on Instagram, and she had this like 30-day like a plan that you just buy for $30 and use it, and that's what I did for like 3 months. And like as I would go, that's what I would go back to when I'd go back into lifting, and like I loved it, and I like really started to enjoy it, and I like understood what I was doing, and I am thankful that I never had, yeah, whatever. But working out was never really consistent part of my life until after Ella. But had a boyfriend my freshman year. We were both, neither of us were in a position to be in a relationship with each other. I think we were both a mess at the time. When we broke up, I literally thought that my life was over. I drove my car into a ditch because I actually could not handle it. I was smoking a lot of weed at the time too, which, if you're wondering, induces bipolar depression a lot heavier than it does if you're already like exposed to it, which I was genetically. I refuse to smoke weed again because of that, because I know what it does to me and I know how it affects me. Aside from like other reasons that I don't want to, but like at the time I was like, okay, like I can't do this to myself anymore. Went into sophomore year, rushed, went Zeta, loved it, literally like was crazy, because I never thought, like, I remember being in like early high school and thinking like, oh my gosh, imagine getting to be in a sorority, like having that money and having to do all these things. And something that I'm really proud of myself is that like I wanted something and I had everything fighting against me, and I still was like, no, I'm gonna try. And like that sounds silly, like it's just a sorority and it's just all these things, but like that's just always been my personality, and I'm just very grateful that that was a gift that I've just always had, that I want something and you give me every reason I can't, and I'm like, okay, like I'm still gonna try. We'll see what happens. I was in it. I rushed as a sophomore, so it's obviously a little bit different when you rush as a sophomore. I wanted to make more friends, but it's a little harder. I met Hunter my sophomore year in October. I actually went to high school with his cousins, which is really crazy, and his aunt used to drive me home from school. Senior year of high school, I saw a picture of him on Emma, his cousin's Instagram, who I was friends with. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, that guy is so hot. Like those exact words just went through my head. I know exactly what picture it is. I pull it up all the time. And it's just crazy because I literally like am marrying that man. That man's the father of my child. Like it's God's crazy. God works in crazy ways. And let's think, we had met once, kind of, because me and my friend Tracy were at a beta party on bid day, and she turned down the AC because it was hot as hell in there. And Hunter saw us do it. His friend went up to him, blah, 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 whatever, whole thing. And then a couple months later, we matched on Bumble, and we started talking. I knew exactly who he was. I was like, oh my gosh, you look so familiar. Like, where are you from? Like, fully knowing where the conversation was going. He was gonna be like, oh, I'm from this. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah. Do you know the Eisenards? Oh my gosh, yes, I went to high school with them. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Anyways, then fast forward a couple months, I got pregnant. And we'll pick up from there. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.